welcome back to Meet the Masons. Thank you guys for joining us again.
Woo-hoo.
So today is the second week of our postpartum update. We have Levi with us again,
Yes.
so if you hear him, this is our life now. So as we mentioned before, we're going to go through 5 parts of the postpartum recovery and update. So those 5 parts are, once again, the physical recovery, feeding, emotional recovery, support, and parenting. So I think that was 5.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So first we're going to start off with physical recovery. So during this time, week 2, I noticed that my skin looked really patchy and dry. And I don't remember experiencing that with River, but I don't know if it was a side effect of the pain medicine, because I think that is one of the side effects too, or hormonal. But literally it was like I could scratch it and it felt like the texture of my elbow or something.
Yeah.
Very, very dry, and yeah, it's weird.
So you're saying your elbows are very, very dry?
Just rough sometimes.
Yeah,
Other than that, and I took notes, guys, so if you see me looking down, it's because I'm referring to those things. Still been taking my pain meds, but I also try to wean myself. So towards the end of the week, I was just trying to make sure, you know, I can kind of get myself off of those things, because a lot of people can actually become addicted to oxycodone. It makes you feel really good, like on the inside, like your pain is completely gone. Some people feel like really light and airy. Some people respond to it differently, but for me, it just made me feel like really good and warm inside. And I never want to get to a place where I'm like dependent on that, so I was trying to kind of like wean myself off.
Have you been taking your prenatals?
Week 2? No.
Week 2.
I was not taking my prenatals, so that was that. Now there was one day that I had some guests over, and I felt like I felt better. So I was moving a lot more, and then towards the end of the day I started feeling sharp pains like past my incision area. I could feel it in my abdomen, like where I was cut. And so I was like, oh no, I need to slow down.
Yeah.
Because sometimes that happens with a C-section. Your body will be like, oh, you feel better, or you think, actually it's your mind that makes you think that you feel better, and you may push yourself and exert yourself more.
And you still need to slow down.
Yes, you still need to do that. So I made sure that I rested that night and took it easy. Also, bleeding has been lightening up during this time, and I have experienced random blurts of like liquid or blood that was soaked.
Talk about your gas.
But no. Oh yeah, I didn't talk about that either. But anyway, so I would soak a pad, and they always say like if you soak a whole pad within an hour, then you need to go to the hospital. But if it's like full of blood. So one time it happened in the guest bathroom. I had Jared come look at it. I was like, babe, you think we should go or something? Or do you think it was that bad? But it wasn't blood. It was like liquid and blood.
Yeah.
So he felt like it was okay.
Yeah. It feels like blood everywhere. Oh yeah, we gotta do something about this.
Yeah.
It was like 70-20.
Yeah.
And then 10 something else.
Yeah. So then I talked to my OB about it, and he was like, no, that's pretty normal, especially when you exert yourself more. It's like your body's like, oh, let me get the rest of that out in that area. So he thought it was fine. So other than that, I did get my bowel movement, you guys. So
she's talking crap. Okay.
So last time with River, actually I should have put this in the last in week 1's update, but it's a big deal because it took me probably like a week to have a bowel movement with River, and I was constipated, holding on to the walls. Like, I also was taking Colace, which is a stool softener.
Yeah.
With River, I decided not to take that home because to me it didn't really make a difference. And what actually worked was when Jared's mom bought me some prune juice, and that helped last time. And so this time around, I actually started taking prune juice at the hospital.
Yeah.
And then at home. So that worked, and I never had the crazy constipation. Like, I was so happy because last time I was crying. Like, it was bad.
She was crying.
It was really, really bad. Okay, so other than that, I think, yep, that's about it for the physical recovery part of week 2.
Levi had to physically recover.
Oh,
he had
yes.
a circumcision. So
He
yes,
did.
most of it is about Kiara, but man, oh man, this man got snipped.
Yes.
And he was taking it like a champ.
He did, actually. He didn't even take any pain meds. He didn't cry much.
He didn't take pain meds, but they did do the little little injections.
Because you have the option of giving them Tylenol when they get home every like 4 or 6 hours. But he was fine. Like, he cried in the car for a second, but then after that, he just slept and he was fine.
Yeah.
But we're going to talk about that later, too, in the emotional part.
Week number 2. It's all about feeding.
Yes. Now, this was, to me, the hardest week thus far as it pertains to feeding, because on Sunday, we made the decision to give him formula.
We did not make the decision to give him formula.
Yes, we did. You actually went to the store to get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
you made a decision, and I supported your decision.
Okay. Thank you. So what happened was, you guys, as I was telling you, his latch has been very painful. So my boobs would either bleed or they would blister, and sometimes just putting the cream on them or doing the ice packs, it still wouldn't work. And if he's hungry again, it doesn't matter about what your boobs look like, you got to feed your kid. So still had to feed him, and then it was getting to a point where, because I knew the pain was coming, it made me very anxious. So I had anxiety about him latching on, and it got to a point that during that feeding, I literally had an anxiety attack. Like, I'm breathing hard, Jared's trying to help him latch on, and I'm like, yeah, I can't do this anymore. Mentally, I was like, I can't.
It was a block, like, literally, because like she would be trying to put him on and pulling him away at the same time, closing her eyes, leaning. It's like, you can't pull him away and put him on at the same time. It was like a real anxiety attack.
It really was. Down. And it didn't make sense, because like he was saying, like, I want him to latch, but I'm so scared, and I'm anticipating the pain that I'm pulling him back at the same time. It was a lot. Yeah. So then I was like, well, we just gotta do formula, because whatever, the pump thing wasn't working, because it had only did like 1 ounce, and I didn't feel very full on top of that. So,
and you didn't use the pump that you normally use.
Right. Not yet at that point. So anyway, so we looked up some formula, because Jared was like, well, let me just go get the formula. But I was like, oh, well, I have to look up the best formula, because we wanted to make sure we got like a dairy-free, just a hypoallergenic one, just in case he had any food allergies, but we don't think he does. But because River did, we want to be careful.
He didn't do anything.
We found a brand, I think it's called Nutri-Megan or something. I don't know, y'all. We found it at Target. Jared went to get it. It was like, it smelled like cheese.
It was like Alta aluminum or something.
Yeah, something. We do have it. I don't know where it is. Hey. Nonetheless, so Jared came back with the formula. We made him, 2 ounces. It smelled like cheese. It smelled horrible. And then I felt really bad. I mean, at this point, like, I want to breastfeed, but also in my mind, I was like, I don't have to keep putting myself through this torture. And because of the anxiety and my hormones and stuff, I was like, for my mental health, he has to get fed. And so if it's formula, it'll be formula. So he tasted it, didn't like it. Then he ended up throwing up. So Jared,
he ended up throwing up. And not only that, it was coming out of his nose. He was just like trying to do the whole breathing thing, and I'm just like,
Jared was like, yo, we ain't doing formula.
This was my face.
So it was a whole frustrating situation, because it's like, yeah, I feel like giving him formula was a substandard thing. And if you have to give your child formula, that's totally fine. You do what works for your family. But for us, I guess it's like this conviction that we have that we should breastfeed, and that it is best for our kid.
It's partially that, but also the biggest thing was our experience with River. She couldn't have any formula, because all the formulas that we had at the time were dairy. So anything that we gave her, she was allergic to, or had wheat in it, or soy, or whatever the case may be, which was all the types of stuff that were on her allergy list. Yeah, so it was like we literally had no other option. Like, either you want to feed the kid or don't feed the kid. So I was like, nah, we're going to push through this. So that's really where most of it stemmed from.
But not really, because we didn't find out about her food allergies till she was like 6 months or so. Yeah, we didn't find out till later. Nonetheless.
But even before then, because before we did the actual allergy test, you remember, depending on what you ate, her stool would be different.
Yeah, but she was older. She wasn't like this age. So, okay. Nonetheless.
We'll look at the old videos. Kiara's right.
Anyway,
I heard you, Mom.
So Yeah, so he had the formula. Jared was like, yeah, he's not doing formula. And I felt bad. I didn't want him to have the formula either. So so at that point, I was just like, I'm just going to have to find a way to toughen up to feed him because I don't want to give him formula. I do want to give him breast milk, even though in my mind it's just so painful. So I'm like, okay. I think that night I was like, well, the issue isn't the formula or whatever. It's like, it's the latch. So let's deal with the latch. So then I ended up coming through a Facebook ad that was talking about, oh, do you have painful latching during breastfeeding?
Facebook being your business.
Crazy. But I sure clicked that ad because I was like, I need the help. So I clicked the ad and it was amazing. There was this video about how it's basically baby-led latching. So it's not like you handling your boob and trying to squish it, making a sandwich, and telling your kid to open up their mouth and smushing your boob onto his mouth or their face into your boob. It's like literally let the baby do what they know to do because they know how to do it. And so I tested it out that night and I was like, oh wow. Not that it was like the pain was away drastically, but it was less pain and it was less difficult. So I asked Jared to, like, you know, give me a second, let me try to do this, let me work this thing out, and that changed the game. And I was like, also I got a pump because my nipples need to recover. Yes, sorry, the video cut off. But anyway, so we made the decision to pump. And from that decision, because of that, now I had to wake up Jared more throughout the night to go get the pump bottles and put them back in the fridge or put the milk back in the fridge downstairs because all of our rooms are upstairs and of course the kitchen and everything is downstairs. So that was, how was that having to wake up to do that?
I planned for it. It was according to plan. It's like, okay, if we're pumping every 3 hours, that means I get to get up twice every 3 hours because to get the pumps, wait 30 minutes or 20 minutes, then get back up to put them down, then go clean the bottles. So actually 3 times every 3 hours. So pretty much getting up every hour.
Yeah, just about. So,
but I also understand, and we know this from experience from last time, that it's temporary. Like this, it's not like this for the whole duration of his life. So it's like, hey, the first 6 to 8 weeks is where you're hyper focused, and after that, you can like take the brakes off a little bit. So I knew that this is what it was. So it's not bad. Yeah.
So that was a sacrifice we were willing to make. And then I think that week we were like, oh, last time we said with River we're gonna have a fridge upstairs and a microwave upstairs. So we were thinking about maybe we should do that again because we did get a mini fridge. We got we got one, wasn't thrifted, but from a neighbor in our neighborhood, but we didn't want to bring that upstairs. It was in the garage. Yeah.
So we have.
So then we were contemplating looking for another one.
Refrigerator, freezer combo. Yeah, and then we got to get another one.
So that was a sacrifice we were willing to make during that time because it was a better decision. It was better than formula, and it gave me a break with the nipple trauma or whatever. So I think I was telling you guys about Jared giving me a break with trying to feed him the baby-led way, so that was cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, for feeding, that was pretty much it. So yeah.
Not bad. Number 3 is emotional recovery.
Yes. So this week, I still cried randomly. I don't think I cried nearly as much as I did with River. I think I was just way more emotional with River.
It was the first time for everything with River.
Yes.
This time it was like, instead of crying 100%, you may have been like 90.
No, I don't even think I was 90. I would say almost like 50.
Times what?
No, whatever. But I do remember 2 moments where I was crying. My mom came in to help us this week and I was pumping. I had to get up in the middle of the night because the thing with pumping is that we have a schedule, so I have to pump every 3 hours. And if you don't know this, the less you pump or the less, you know, you have milk coming out, your baby feeds, the less milk your body will make.
Yeah.
So you never want to be in a place, it's bad when you oversleep and you go like 6-8 hours without pumping because your body thinks, oh, I don't need to make as much milk. And if you're relying on feeding your baby through pumping and nothing comes out, now you're freaking out. Yeah. Especially if you don't want to latch them. But at that point, you got to latch them because your body has to respond to getting more milk out. So anyway, so I was up that night and I was just like, man, just sad that I didn't expect to be in this place again with pumping again. But I was like, okay, whatever. So my mom kind of helped me during that time, and that was that. So another thing was that little Levi got circumcised this week.
Yeah.
So I know it's a controversial subject, but for us, we decided to get him circumcised. So even though I cried over the experience and prior to, it was something that we definitely wanted to do.
She was over there looking up videos and like, oh, he's going to be like this, he's going to be like that. I'm like, look, how do you know that any of that is going to be his experience? That was that other person's experience. Yes, it's not going to be a lollipop, you know, like just, oh, I love this. This is great. No, it's going to be a situation where he will feel some pain if the anesthesia doesn't kick in as much. And obviously they did give him a little bit of anesthesia injection, so everything was cool. And he whined probably a total of like 30 seconds, maybe a minute.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So it was fine. So I say that to say that that's why I was emotional the day before reading the articles, and I realized, okay, I can't meditate on negative things. But when it was time for the circumcision, I was like, okay, yeah, I'm just going to step outside of the room. Jared's going to be there. But it was actually the way the room was
like made.
It was L-shaped, and it was like a little window. So it was a space where I could go sit down over there. So I was crying throughout the procedure. I was, because I was emotional. I didn't want to hear him. But they give them like sugar water on their pacifier, y'all. He was loving it.
Yeah. He was like, oh, I like this. And
Jared was there the whole time watching the entire procedure. So I felt good. And after that, he nursed. He actually latched on. Because what I didn't tell you guys was that during this week, he started, or I don't know if that was later on, but eventually he started getting nipple confusion. So that happens when you have a pacifier or a bottle, and then the baby, you suck differently when you're using a plastic pacifier and when you're nursing. So then the baby will think that, oh, well, when I get to the boob, I'm gonna suck as if I have a pacifier, and my boob isn't as hard as the pacifier. And so he would literally spaz out, and he would act like it was a pacifier. So he would shake his head and stuff, the same thing he did with the pacifier he did at my boob. And so I was freaking out too, which is why we ended up pumping as well.
Both of them.
I know. So that was very difficult. But yeah, so that was that, guys. Supposed to be talking about emotional recovery, but that was very emotional too.
It was. Both of y'all walk in and both of them like this, like both of them crying. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was way too much. But nonetheless, I think that was it for emotional recovery that week. Yep. Alrighty. So the next section is support.
Number 4.
Yes. So during this week, we had quite a few visitors, and actually on one day we had 3 different visitors. And although I absolutely enjoyed seeing those people, I would not recommend that. Having so many people at one time, especially when you're still recovering, you need to sleep. And people want to talk, you know, they want to catch up, and you don't have the ability to just sit and have conversations on hours and hours, and he's sleeping. It's like, crap, this is my time where I sleep, but you guys are here and you want to be cordial. So that was tough. That one day when we had 3 different visitors, I was like, man, that was not smart at all. But it was nice to see them.
I'm not on the scheduling team.
Anyway, and we had one of our friends, she cooked for us. Kia, she made some pasta for us, so that was very good. Thoughtful. It was very good. And then my mom and my sister came that weekend, so they helped me throughout the night. So it was very, very helpful. Anytime like he woke up and he was crying, they would grab him and change him while I prepared to pump or anything like that. So that was a game changer. That really helped me, and I was thankful for that. And of course, Jared was doing absolutely amazing, still keeping River and Levi separated as much as possible, because that was the week that we found out she had a fever.
Yeah.
So we were like, are you kidding me? She already had a cold last week and now she has a fever. So I was very, very upset at that, and we definitely want to keep her away from Levi because we didn't want him to have a fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how was it for you with supporting us that week, River being, because remember
like
she slept a lot?
Yeah. So I'm basically River's cooling pad, because she was my heating pad. It was cold that week and she was hot as a firecracker. So I'm like, you want to cuddle with daddy? And she wanted to cool down, so we were a perfect match for each other. And we would just sit on the couch and eat popsicles and watch movies, and it was cool. It was like a nice little, like, she still played and we did all the stuff that we would normally do, like bath time, reading, and all that type of stuff. But
she slept way more than normal.
Yeah, but she still played as well, saying it wasn't like completely sleep the whole time. But with that, it was cool. But in addition to taking care of her, it was still like doing bottles and cleaning up laundry, clothes, and bathrooms and stuff. So it was busy. It was busy more so because she wanted more cuddle time than normal. Normally she was like, "Hey, Daddy, I want to take this stuff out the dryer," and she would go with me wherever I was going. Now I was like, "Hey, let me run and do this and get back to you." Because if I was gone for more than a minute, "Daddy, where are you?"
Oh my gosh.
"Daddy."
That's her new thing. I don't know if she just like recognized like daddy was just there for her.
Yeah.
This is her daddy time, but she was milking it to
Yeah. I would literally walk out the room and I'm like, "River, I'll be right back." "Daddy, where are you?"
It was hilarious.
It was
now
funny.
I will say, I guess I'll talk about it in the next part, but yeah, that was funny. River was like Jared's mom. What'd you call her? My other mom is calling me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for real.
She was funny. All right, the last section, number 5, is parenting. So this was an interesting week. One day Jared was like, "Hey," we were downstairs, all downstairs, Levi, River as well, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna go upstairs, take a shower quick. I'll be right back." And that was the first time I was left with, you probably don't even remember this, but it was the first time that I was left with the kids together. And I was like, okay, all right, I can do this. So I don't feel like I had a lot of anxiety, but I was like, crap, okay, they're both here.
For 10 minutes.
And let's try 20. Maybe 15 to meet in the middle. Anyway, so I was just like, okay, so making sure, because River wants to play. She wants to do these things, and I can move, and I am mobile at that point, but it was like, I don't want to move as much. I want to make sure he stays asleep and all these different things.
You can't
but
really
it was
get down
fine.
on the ground.
Yeah, I can't, get down and dirty. So I would have her bring toys over me. "Oh, give me a cookie so I can eat it, or an orange so I can eat it." She had like this picnic thing.
Yeah.
So so that was that. I survived and I was fine. Another thing too is I felt like Jared was getting a little bit more frustrated with River at certain points, because River was being a little demanding. And so it kind of just made me want to step in and then just grab her until he cooled down. But he felt like, I'm okay. Do you remember those moments?
Yeah. So my thing is, I talk to my kids, I talk to my wife. I'm very communicative. And when you understand what I'm communicating and we're on the same page, we don't have to keep having the same conversation if we're on the same page. So with River, it'll be like little stuff. I'm like, "Hey, River, we talked about this." So obviously you're 2 years old, so I'm not expecting you to be 20. But for the stuff that we do know, it's like, "Look, we got to handle business." And she would comply. But every once in a while, like, she just wanted to go off on the hinges. I'm like, "Okay, let's put you back on the hinge." And that was it.
That was it. I felt him getting more frustrated. So it happens with both of us.
Do you have an example?
So what happens is when we get frustrated, it's a little bit more raising of the voice. Not that we're full blown yelling, but you can tell us correcting her more.
I'm talking about
Stop
what did she
doing
do?
this. I don't know what she did. She was doing a lot of stuff. She would say no. She would not come when you wanted her to come, or not come when I wanted her to come, or whatever. And then I could tell when we both shift, when we're like getting frustrated. And that was that. And so I realized that, and I felt bad because I was like, well, let me just get her for a second and so you can cool off. But I felt like you didn't feel like you were that frustrated.
No, it's not that I didn't feel like I was frustrated. I felt like that frustration was appropriate, and it was okay for me to let River know that this is not acceptable.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
That's different. Cause
But
I'm like,
I felt like, let me just take her and so you can cool off. So that was interesting.
Fine. It was fine. I'm just like, "River, you got to listen. You just have to listen.
Yeah.
We can have as much fun as you want to have. We can do all this stuff." Oh, so this is what it was. So we're during dinner time, and she's like pouring her stuff down. She's throwing her food, and I'm like, "Hold up. We don't do this." So that's what it was. I'm like, "Hey, we ain't playing this game. Because Daddy's going to go and clean all this stuff up. But, like, I done cooked you literally 3 meals. Like, I don't want that anymore. All right, so let me cook something else. I don't want that anymore. All right, so let me cook something else." And then you start pouring it out after I cooked you 3 separate meals? Oh, ho, ho. Ha, ha, ha. All right.
Yes, so it was a lot of different things because I feel like River's behavior was a little bit different too. At this point, at week 2, she was adjusting a little bit more.
Yeah. And it's understandable.
But
I had no qualms with
yeah.
that.
And she was acting out a little bit more than normal. Honestly, she really was.
And I think we gave her a lot of grace
fine.
for that. My thing was like, hey, I'm cool with you being a little bit different because this is a world change.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. But the stuff I'm not fine with is you throwing this food around. That's not happening.
Yeah. So that was that. So like I said, you guys, it's really an adjustment in us realizing, okay, we're a family of 2, and this is different for not 2. We're a family of 4. We have 2 kids now, but this is really different not only for us but for River as well. Yeah. So she has to adjust and we have to adjust to her adjusting.
Right.
So it's a lot of different dynamics happening at one time, and I want people to know that that is a reality. So maybe you may get more frustrated with your children or with your spouse, but you have to give everybody grace for the changes that are happening, and then communicate on how to move forward and realize that when there is frustration happening, you know, to what degree is it okay? To what degree do you need a break? And just communicating with your spouse during that time is so important.
Especially with the 2-year-old, like she's super smart.
Yes.
She can talk. She can do all these different things. But at the same time, she doesn't really communicate on the level that you think she does. So it's like a lot of times you got to catch yourself and calm yourself down and say, hey, hold on, you're still 2 years old. Yeah. So even though you're talking in full sentences up to 8 words, sometimes 9 words, that does not mean you can articulate everything that you're feeling. So sometimes she might just say, Daddy, I want to play, or Daddy, look at me, or Mommy this or Mommy that. And that's not really all that she really has to say. And in those moments, it's like, okay, give the grace. But for the stuff as a 2-year-old that you do know, I got to come at your level and say, hey, these things are acceptable, these things are not. But it is a big adjustment because the attention is different. The attention is different. And it's not that, actually she's getting a lot more attention because it's more one-on-one daddy time. So she's getting more attention. But at the same time, it's a little bit less
from me,
from you. But she loves being with me anyway, so she's not complaining.
I think she's been okay with that. It's just been hard where she does want to be around Levi and I, and she wants to kiss on the baby, and she wants to do all these things, and having to tell her having to tell her no, you know, you feel bad because you want your child to express that love to their sibling, but at the same time you have to keep them separated so they don't, you know, whatever. So that was an adjustment, but you know, we know it'll get easier, but that has been a new dynamic. So that is it for week 2, you guys. I hope you got a little bit more insight of what it has been like for us thus far, and yeah, if you have any questions, let us know.
Yes, look forward to seeing y'all soon.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Bye.